What is going on today, everybody? Welcome back to Fix It Garage. Today, we're doing a timing belt water pump service on a 99 Miata. And not just any 99 Miata, a clean one-owner Miata, which as you guys will see in this video, this thing is clean. But today we're gonna do a timing belt water pump service on it because it hasn't been done in a long time and they can't remember when it was done. So we're going to go ahead and knock it out, and I'm gonna bring you guys along for the journey. Now, these kinds of videos are the ones that you like to see. Be sure to let me know by liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing this video with your friends. That lets me know and YouTube know that that's the videos that you guys like to see. And I want to always try to make videos that you guys like to see as much as I can, while also doing stuff that I enjoy doing as well. Now, this is not a tutorial video or a walkthrough or a full-on walkthrough, but I'm gonna go through this and show you guys what I went through during my experiences and share some things that I learned while doing this timing belt service. This is actually my first time doing a timing belt on a 99 Miata, surprisingly. I know, it's kind of shocking considering I've done a ton of work, but I've never done a timing belt on a Miata. So I'm gonna show you guys some of the stuff that I learned and some tips and tricks that I found to make it easier. So if you wanna do these kind of things on your own, maybe you'll pick up something from the video. But this is not a full-on tutorial or walkthrough. This is still me, I'm figuring out as I'm going, so I can't really give you a tutorial if I'm still learning how to do it. But with that being said, guys, let's jump right into this timing belt service. With the valve cover off, we get our first look inside of this engine, and looking at those camshafts and inside the cylinder head, it looks super clean. This car, I should add, has over 100,000 miles, and that cylinder head looks like it has 30,000 miles. In order to do a timing belt service, the first thing we need to do is get the valve cover and all of the front accessory stuff off, giving us room to get to those timing covers and the crank pulley so we can remove it. With all that stuff out of the way, we can keep on disassembling those timing covers. With the cover removed, it was time to set the timing. I had to look up which direction the engine spun, figured out it spun clockwise, And as you can see, there's little white marks on those cam gears. Well, I had to spin this engine around until those white dots lined up with some lines on the metal plate that is behind them. That is what sets our cylinder 1 top dead center. Now, one trick that I have picked up from doing this for a while to check the timing is you can take a flat feeler gauge along the tooth of the gear and line it up to the spot on that plate behind it to verify that it is in fact in time. And you'll see me doing that here in the video. I actually take the feeler gauge and I will set it in line with the gear back to that plate to make sure that it is correctly lined up. I'll do that on both sides. And then there's also a TDC mark on the crank, and I verified that that is also in the correct spot before removing the crank pulley. Once the crank pulley, we verified that it was at TDC, we actually needed to remove it. And something unique about the Miata compared to what I'm used to is the Miata crank pulley doesn't come off with the center bolt. You can remove 4 smaller bolts that are inside the pulley, which are impossible to get a camera in to show you, but you remove those 4 bolts and the pulley actually comes off. And that took me a minute to figure out. Again, using the internet to figure out how to do it, I was able to remove that pulley. Now, I will have to unbolt it later, but for now, I was able to undo those 4 bolts and the crank pulley popped right off. Just something to think about when you guys are doing one of these. Remember, you don't always need to pull the center bolt. In this case, you just need to take out those 4 little bolts and the crank pulley came off. With the radiator removed and coolant drained, it was time to go ahead and remove the timing belt. Pretty straightforward. You just loosen the tensioner and you can go ahead and slide the belt off. However, there is a little collar down there on the crank that the crank pulley was bolted to, and I could not get it off for the life of me. So I re-bolted the crank pulley to it, and it made it to where I could actually wiggle it back and forth and remove it, which allowed me to get the timing belt off. Just little tips and tricks like that make the job a lot easier sometimes.
So initially when I went to do the water pump, I tried to do it with leaving on that upper radiator hose adapter that bolts into the head, and it was really difficult to get it back on, especially with the new paper gasket. So I went ahead and removed it, which made it a whole lot easier to install the water pump with the new paper gasket. Sometimes when you try to shortcut it and or flat rate it to make it so you don't have to take as many parts off, you'll find in the end you still have to take those parts off anyways, because it makes it easier to put it all back together. So no harm, no foul. I figured it out and I was able to correct it by removing that upper housing, and I had the O-ring for it, so it wasn't a big deal. Took me a little bit longer, but that at least gave me the assurance that the gaskets for the water pump would be installed correctly and it would not leak. All right, so it is now time for my favorite part and the most nerve-wracking part of doing a timing belt job, which is putting the belt back on. It's great because it means that you're past the halfway point, but it's also nerve-wracking because if you don't get it right, the engine's not in time, and that can cause all kinds of runnability issues. And with this being my first time doing a Miata, I was very cautious while doing it, trying to make sure that the engine stayed in time. And as you're going to see, I kind of struggled a little bit. I definitely had to take that belt on and off the intake pulley a few times because I didn't like how it looked once I preset the tension. So I wanted to see what happened when the tensioner, when I released the tensioner, I wanted to see how the gears would move. And every time I did it, it looked like it would be about a tooth off. So I kept having to take the belt on and off to make sure that it was right. And I kept doing it until I had it perfect because, again, we don't want runnability issues with a gear being a tooth off. That would just be very unpleasant and not something I really want to deal with. Sometimes practicing some patience, especially when it's your first time doing a new job, practicing that patience is really important. It's not going to hurt anything by taking your time and going slow. It's better than trying to do it fast and rushing and running into a problem. But once you do get the tension set, once you do get the belt set where you want it, you can go ahead and loosen the bolt at the tensioner and the spring will pull it towards the belt and help put the correct amount of tension on the belt, and then you can retighten that bolt and it will hold tension on it. So that is how you set the tension on this particular style of tensioner, which it is a new tensioner. We did a new belt, a new tensioner, and actually a new idler pulley on the other side that you can't see as well. I wanted to make sure all that stuff was new with brand new bearings, so way this thing can go another 100,000+ miles without any issues at all.
That's where I didn't notice that the battery died on the camera. And that was the last battery, and I did not notice that it had died, unfortunately. Now, what was left on the car was just reinstalling removed parts like the valve cover and the intake, and then filling the cooling system back up and bleeding the cooling system and confirming operation. Now, it ran great when it was done. Cooling system bled perfectly. Engine ran just fine. Unfortunately, that footage was lost because I forgot to check the camera battery. I'm a mechanic first and a YouTuber second, so I will make a lot of mistakes on the YouTube side while trying to make sure that I get everything right on the mechanics side. Sorry, I'm working on it. I'm gonna make mistakes. I am human. But the car ran great. Overall, timing belt service on a Miata wasn't too bad. There were some interesting things like that crank pulley that I was talking to you guys about earlier in the video. That was a bit different for me compared to what I'm used to with mostly working on Hondas and Subarus. But it wasn't terrible. It actually made it easier in some ways for certain parts of the job and a little bit harder for others. The next video is supposed to be, if all the parts get here, is supposed to be the follow-up to my CRV video that I made last time of doing the timing chain, where I had asked if anybody wanted to see me do the power steering pump VTEC solenoid, and actually it needs a motor mount. So we ordered all those parts. When they get here, I will be doing a video showing you guys how to replace those on the CRV. But we're still waiting on those to get here, so bear with me, guys. As soon as I get the parts, I'll knock it out and I'll make a video for you guys and we'll get it posted. Now, I know I haven't put out a video in a while and I'm not going to explain it now. We're gonna explain that in a future video and I'll make it all make sense. But as far as the videos go, guys, I will explain in a future one. It probably won't be in the next video with the CRV stuff. It will be in its own video explaining kind of what's going on with the channel right now. Explaining what's gonna go on with the car videos, the streaming side, and kind of what we're gonna be doing going forward. I'm gonna keep making content for you guys one way or another, whether it's streams or car content, but it's probably gonna change for a little while just due to everything going on with work and my personal life. It's gonna change some things, but I'll let you guys all know about I will let all of you know about that in a future video. I'm also probably gonna bring some of my racing back to the channel a little bit. Now, I haven't been racing this car, but I have been driving a BRZ prepped for SSC class, which is solo spec coupe, and I'm probably gonna just start posting my runs up so you guys can see that I'm still out here racing. I'm still autocrossing. I haven't stopped. So I'm gonna put some of the runs up on the channel in the future. I'm not gonna make those feature length videos, but I will post up my runs and maybe some behind the scenes of the event, just some cool stuff that I happen to capture. I'm not taking it too serious. I'm having a lot of fun just racing, hanging out with my friends. But I'll try and post a few things here and there. But that's enough of that. You guys will all find out about what's been going on here shortly. For today, that is gonna do it, everybody. I wanna thank all of you guys for watching. As always, if you guys like what you saw, don't forget to smash the like button, leave some comments and thoughts down below, and subscribe so you guys don't miss any of those future Fix It Garage videos. You guys don't wanna miss them. We still have stuff coming in the future that's gonna be awesome. And if you guys are enjoying it, be sure to share it with your friends. Let them see this awesome content that we are putting out for all of you guys. I have all of you guys to thank for all of the support that you guys have given me the last 3 years. We're not giving up. We're not stopping. We're gonna keep pushing forward and bringing you guys the best quality content that I can. So thank you guys all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.